You know, when making this channel, I told myself that I wasn't going to talk about anything Destiny related, and that lasted 1 week. In recent months, I have largely disassociated with the larger online Destiny community. Not that I don't pay attention generally to what people are saying and what people want, but I'm kind of specifically talking about the discourse that occurs between expansions where people just get upset and complain on this annual cyclical basis. Full disclaimer at the beginning before anyone tries to say otherwise, I'm not saying that certain complaints and whining isn't justified. I'm just saying that this is a cycle that we fall into. I've just come to learn that there isn't really much good to be gained from paying attention to the in-between expansion low points and bad player sentiment, because it literally happens every time. You know, me paying attention to player numbers and the fact that people are mad that we don't know X, Y, and Z, the fact that people are upset about X, Y, and Z, ultimately does not change my opinion on the game very much, and I just don't think it's really worth my time, to be quite honest with you. I don't think there's much good to be had there, more often than not. Again, there's a difference between genuine, valid criticism and complaints of the game itself and parts of the game that I believe can be improved, and then people who I think have an unhealthy relationship with the game falling into this annual cycle of toxicity and complaining. There is a difference between those two things. I pay attention to one, I don't pay attention to the other. And hopefully you can understand that. I think a lot of you can. The reason I wanted to come out and make this video today is there's been a lot of talk recently about the roadmap, right? The fabled roadmap and state of the game article that we were promised last year, at the end of last year. I don't remember who it was. It may have been DMG, but don't quote me on that. But I remember whoever it was that said this basically coming out and saying, next year, we will have a state of the game and multi-year roadmap for you, is something along the lines of that. Not an exact quote, please don't quote me, but I do remember them saying next year, okay? So obviously a lot of people are waiting for this roadmap. Now, before we talk too much about the roadmap, it's also worth noting that Shadow and Order, which is essentially the next season, the next major update of Destiny, kind of like Ash and Iron, Shadow and Order was supposed to come out on March 3rd, I believe. And then it was announced that Marathon would be coming out on March 5th, to which Paul Tassi then reported that Shadow and Order is likely to see some kind of delay. At the time, we didn't know what kind of delay we were talking, but it made sense, right? Make room for Marathon, delay Shadow and Order, is what it is. At the time, we thought it would be like a 1 or 2 week delay just to give a little bit of space. Well, now it's looking like it is, in Paul Tassi's words, internally confirmed that Shadow and Order will be delayed until May, which obviously kind of sucks. And a lot of people are wondering, why is Bungie being so quiet about this? Why haven't they said anything to us about this? Shadow and Order is supposed to come out in less than a month as far as the public knows. Why haven't we heard anything about this? Where is the roadmap? Where is the state of the game? You've probably seen plenty of videos about this in your feed over the last couple of months. I kind of just wanted to talk a little bit about how everyone is talking about where is the roadmap, where is the state of the game, why is Bungie being so quiet? And I don't know about you guys, I don't really care when the roadmap comes out. I don't really care. The roadmap is going to come out. The state of the game is going to come out. By the time I post this video, there's a good chance it's already out or will be out in the next few days. Because keep in mind, they do need to announce the Shadow and Order delay. That's going to happen. But I just don't really understand the point of whining and complaining about the lack of a roadmap so much. Right? Like, I get it. We all want the roadmap. We all want to see what's on the roadmap, but complaining about the lack of a roadmap is not going to make the roadmap come out any faster. Clearly, Bungie is taking their time on this roadmap, right? My guess is the reason they're doing that is because they want to make sure that everything on this roadmap is correct, is feasible, and is going to come out when they say it's going to come out. Do you really want a rushed roadmap with things that are subject to change and probably will change? I don't really see the point in complaining and being so invested in when is the roadmap coming out? Why hasn't it come out yet? Who knows? It'll come out when it comes out, right? Maybe I've just reached this point of disassociation where I don't really care, you know, whatever happens, I'll play the game and judge the game on the merit of the game. It feels like with every TWID that comes out every week, people and content creators are getting more and more frustrated by the lack of news, which on some level I do understand, but on the other hand, they are not going to just drop something as important as a multi-year roadmap in a TWID. When they announced Codename Frontiers, which is basically their new expansion model for Edge of Fate and Renegades, that had a whole blog post with multiple blog posts inside that blog post. It was not a TWID. I think in the TWID they talked about it, but it was its own thing. That's what I think we're going to get here. Another reason that I think we haven't heard about the Shadow and Order delay yet, and we're going to hear about it soon because we literally have to, if they were to just come out right now in a TWID and be like, hey guys, by the way, Shadow and Order is delayed until May. Can't really tell you why, because we don't want to talk about this whole thing in a TWID, but it's delayed. That is only going to generate bad press for the game. That is the only thing it's going to do. I think Bungie knows that when they announce this, they need to kind of sandwich the bad news with good news and try and control the narrative a little bit. Because again, they are not just going to drop a multi-year roadmap in a TWID. I'd be shocked if they did that. I'm not really expecting a whole live stream. I feel like that they would have announced by now. Or maybe that's what they'll do. Maybe this Thursday, they will drop a TWID where they basically say, hey guys, Shadow and Order is delayed, and we're going to tell you more about why that is on this upcoming developer live stream in a week or two. Maybe that's what they're going to do, because that would at least be sandwiching the bad news with some good news. So that's my theory. But ultimately though, I just wanted to come on here and talk about this a bit because I don't really understand why people are getting so upset at the lack of a roadmap. Like, this is going to sound weird as a Destiny content creator and as someone who truly wants the best for this game. Why do you care when the roadmap comes out? That sounds really strange, especially coming from me, but it's going to come out when it comes out. Complaining about it isn't going to make it come out any faster, and if it did make it come out faster, I'd be a little worried that we would get things on the roadmap that are just Bungie kind of saying things that aren't going to happen. I get it. We all care about this game. I care about this game. I care about this game probably more than the average person. But the fact of the matter is, for one reason or another, Bungie is not ready to tell us what is ahead, what is coming. And sure, is that a little frustrating? Yeah, but it's not like we're just never gonna know. We will know, probably extremely soon, but it feels like every week the community gets more and more worked up. Sometimes I feel like the Destiny community gets worked up over things that don't really matter that much in the grand scheme of things. Like, okay, one thing some people love to talk about is player numbers. And this is a tricky situation. More often than not, I don't really think there is a reason for us to be talking about player numbers other than to just contribute to this cloud of negativity that is, I guess, fun to talk about, right? Because ultimately humans are just drawn to negativity. Really think about it. What does us harping on player numbers do for the game? What does it do? You know, it's an honest, open, and candid look at the state of the game. Okay, sure, but what is that doing, right? Is that making the game any better? What feedback can we give Bungie? Maybe you're someone like me and you would say, well, the low player numbers are a direct response to a lack of chase, a lack of incentive to play the game. And sure, maybe that's actionable feedback, but that doesn't feel like the conversation that happens more often than not. More often than not, it feels like people just like to talk about low player numbers because they just like to talk about it. All it does for most people is contribute to this aura of negativity surrounding the game, and that's kind of it. Seriously. Tell me what practical and constructive conversation and criticism comes from talking about low player counts, and point me in the direction of people having those conversations, because I am not seeing that. I get being frustrated, and I get that there's not a lot to be excited about right now, but I also get that you voting with your time and your wallet, not buying things you don't like, not playing things you don't like, Bungie notices that. And to all those people that get so wrapped up in the negativity cycle, just complaining about things that ultimately are not gonna move the needle at all one way or another, you are just complaining to complain. And again, because some people don't get it when I say this, there is a difference between complaining and giving constructive criticism on actionable, pragmatic, and tangible things in the game, and just complaining about something that you just haven't seen yet and you want to see it faster, or something like player counts. But I should also say that, like, it's totally fine, I think, to bring up player counts as an addition to a conversation, like to prove a point. But sometimes it just feels like player counts and talking about player counts is the whole point, and I just don't think that's constructive at all. All that really does is make people who are still playing the game kind of feel bad and feel like, well, if no one else likes this game, what am I doing here, you know? I don't know, man. I just find that the healthy approach is when you're not enjoying something, when something is not tickling your fancy, just don't play it. I made a whole video about this, like what, a year ago? It was before Final Shape came out? I don't really remember. Maybe this video is just useless in the grand scheme of things. I'm not telling people to not care. I'm not telling you that you shouldn't air your grievances, but I think people could do with being a little more aware of what is an actual criticism and what is just complaining into the void. What is the point of what you're saying, right? Especially if you're someone with like a following. What is the point of the criticism, the things that you are putting out there? But my whole thing is like, when the game isn't fun to me, I just don't play it. And if I don't like something about the game, I tell you that I don't like it. I make a video about how I don't like it, and I always try and offer solutions to the thing that I don't like. And again, I'm going to say this for the third time, because every time I talk about this, there are people that just seem to miss this part. I'm not saying that all of your complaints are invalid, and I'm not saying that complaining in general is bad. I'm simply saying that some of the things people tend to complain about and make a big spectacle over when there isn't a lot going on, I don't think is useful. That's all I'll say about it. This has gone on for too long. I told myself I wouldn't talk about Destiny on this channel. Don't subscribe to this channel for Destiny content. This is not a Destiny channel. If you want Destiny, go to the Toad Smithy channel. My prediction, and I'm gonna leave this here, even though people are gonna make fun of me for it, but my prediction for this roadmap is that I think Bungie is going to kind of surprise us. I think they understand how quiet they're being, and they know that the longer they go without dropping a roadmap, the more people start to expect from the roadmap. So my prediction, without getting too specific, and without any inside information, I don't know anything, guys. I'm speculating just like you are. I just have a feeling that they are being this quiet because on some level, and maybe this is cope, people are going to say it's cope, but I really do think this is probably what's going to happen. I don't think Bungie would be this quiet if they didn't feel like it was the right thing to do to curate this roadmap and this state of the game, again, whatever form it ends up taking. I think there could be some pretty surprising things on this roadmap. People are going to make fun of me for saying that. People are going to make fun of me for having hope and just generally not being that toxic on the game. But I'll say it. I think there could be some pretty cool stuff on this roadmap, and I think that's probably why they're being quiet. Maybe I'll be wrong. I'm not going to take this down if I'm wrong. If I end up being incorrect, that is fine. I would simply say, if the thing you're complaining about ultimately just isn't going to matter like 2 months, 2 weeks, 2 days from now, don't just be like the Ouroboros, right? The snake eating its own tail. Just put your energy somewhere else. Put your time somewhere else. Maybe put that time into rallying the Destiny community behind certain causes and getting everyone on the same page, because I swear to God, it feels like the community just cannot ever agree on what they want. I think it would be just swell if we could all come together and have a little community summit of our own, little PowerPoint style, right? Let's get everyone together, as many people from the community as possible, right? We'll hold a big Discord like stage chat room, and we'll just vote on things. Like I'll put a PowerPoint on the screen, and it'll just say Destiny 1 style RNG. Give me an approval rating scale of 1 to 10, right? Can we just all try and agree on something, get a baseline for what we'd all like to see out of the game? That's probably hopeless. There are so many different kinds of players in this game, man. Hashtag where's the roadmap? I don't know, probably a few days away at this point. I'm willing to bet in a month people will forget that there ever wasn't a roadmap once we have the roadmap. And this echo chamber of negativity only served to lower player sentiment will all be for naught, because no one will remember it after the roadmap comes out. That's it. That's it. Again, don't subscribe here for Destiny. I appreciate you watching. Let me know what you think down below, and yeah, until next time.